States. Joseph R. Biden's career almost certainly ends tomorrow when Donald Trump assumes the presidency for the second time. We've asked correspondent Nancy Cordes to look back.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
When Joe Biden's presidency began 4 years ago,
And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
few imagined it would end like this.
The President-elect and former President and Donald, congratulations.
His inauguration took place just 2 weeks after rioters had stormed the Capitol to disrupt the certification of his victory.
When Joe Biden's autocracy, that was job one for him, and everybody knew what he meant.
Franklin Foer is a staff writer for The Atlantic and wrote a book about Biden's first 2 years in office.
When you called him the last politician, what did you mean by that exactly?
I was thinking about the way in which our politics is this war of attrition between these two sides that despise one another.
People are saying, you know, Biden just doesn't get it. You can't work with Republicans anymore. That's not the way it works anymore. Well, folks, I'm going to say something outrageous. I know how to make government work.
Biden had this very antiquated sense of how he could get things done. He felt like in order to save American democracy, he needed to prove that this old-fashioned style of politics could still deliver important, meaningful, tangible things for the American people.
In many ways, he did deliver.
Any positive tests for COVID?
His administration oversaw the successful rollout of the COVID vaccines. The stock market steadily rose to record highs, while unemployment fell to a near record low. Overseas, he expanded NATO, strengthened alliances in Asia with the goal of containing China, and cobbled together lasting support for Ukraine in its war against Russia.
The duty of the president is to defend what is best about America.
He did so while racking up major legislative victories, including massive new investments in clean energy and semiconductor manufacturing.
I believe to my core, there isn't a single thing this country cannot do when we put our mind to it.
And he scored a win that had eluded his predecessors, signing a $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill.
A lot of that money came New Jersey's way.
You bet.
New Jersey Governor, Democrat Phil Murphy.
We're the most densely populated state in America. So moving people and things is more important to us probably than any other state. And President Biden did just what he said he would do. I would almost call it a renaissance in American infrastructure. And there's all sorts of projects around our state.
Most notably, the $16 billion Gateway Tunnel Project, which will expand the century-old tunnels under the Hudson River and double train capacity between New York and New Jersey. It's the largest project of its kind in U.S. history.
It will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together. But the seeds are planted, and they'll grow and they'll bloom for decades to come.
I think it's a very successful presidency. I think history will treat him very, very well.
And yet, he was sort of embattled from the start, even during some of these major milestone accomplishments. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a fair question to ask. Is this fair? And frankly, I don't think it is, but it is what it is. And the numbers don't lie.
Biden's approval ratings started out strong, but they sank 6 months in after the deadly withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. His polling was pushed down further by high inflation, a record surge in illegal border crossings, and a war in Gaza that divided his party. 40,000 people dead. And then there were the persistent questions about his age that dogged him from the moment he took office.
Do you think he was aware that he was slowing down a little bit?
Anybody who had eyes could watch him walk across the stage, and they could see that his gait was stiff. They could see that he shuffled like an old man. And so he knew he was an old man as well. But I think that he probably overestimated his own political skills because he's come back from the dead all of these times.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare,
Democratic leaders pressured Biden to leave the race after his disastrous debate performance last June. With just 3 months to mount her own campaign, Vice President Kamala Harris lost the popular vote and every swing state. Democrats also lost their majority in the Senate, meaning Republicans will now control the White House and both chambers of Congress, with the power to undo some of Biden's work. And so, the man who launched his campaign with a warning about Donald Trump.
If we give Donald Trump 8 years in the White House, he will forever and fundamentally alter the character of this nation.
Suddenly finds that his legacy is largely in Trump's hands.
He was going to prevent Donald Trump from ever returning to the White House. And now, at the end of his presidency, it's clear by any measure that he failed at his #1 objective.
And Donald Trump's returning.
Donald Trump is back.
Want the fastest working GLP-1?